because of the madness of a man called Adolf Hitler. So that's how the world is. That's how so that which probably could help you, and because of your idiocy, you refuse to acknowledge that which could save you. And after all the bad things that the Nazis, after all those things that the Nazis did, they were still defeated. And the only thing that I guess most of us who have compassion for humanity, after all the cruelty, the madness, that this regime, the Nazi regime in Germany, after all of this that they did, I mean, if you look at the films of pounds and pounds of human flesh, human beings, dead human beings, corpse, laid all on top of each other. And looking at these, I'm only talking about from the films that I see on YouTube or wherever I see these. I say, well, wow, how could he? Wow, how could this man do this to people? How could he do this to people? But there was Albert Einstein in his midst. And what if he had become a colleague with that genius? Maybe Germany would have been able to conquer the world. But I'm thinking, I'm still trying to understand this thing. I'm still trying to understand this thing. I go sleepless nights trying to figure this out. I'm only thinking about humanity, what human beings do to each other. Well, I accept that the things that I accept that the things that I have heard about Nazi Germany, the things that I have read about Nazi Germany, and the things that I have seen on YouTube about Nazi Germany, I accept it. I believe those things happen. And in knowing that man would do that, it's so. I have had sleepless nights trying to understand why would a human being, and not only a human being, Hitler was able to get other human beings to do those things to human beings. What causes these things to happen in man? What makes man decide to just destroy other human beings as though they were insects, as though they were nothing? Men, women, and children. But Einstein left Nazi Germany, Albert Einstein. He left Nazi Germany. And then he discovered the most profound concept, in this century. And Hitler could have brought this man into his forum, and maybe with the genius of Albert Einstein, maybe it may not have been necessary for Adolf Hitler to instigate the murdering of the human beings. Okay, war. Okay, war. Okay, let's talk about war. War is all part of existence. Your army goes out, and my army goes out, we fight each other. We understand this is war. Okay, in ancient times, you would use your bow. In these times, you use a gun. But we know that war just seems to be a part of existence. And so men go out and they fight wars and they kill each other. Bang, bang, bang. But the thing that happened in Nazi Germany, as I understood it, this is how it happened in Nazi Germany, as I understood it. Here you are, you and your family, sitting at a restaurant, you and your wife and children having lunch. And a bunch of men come and pick you up, throw you in a vehicle, and you, your wife, and your babies, you end up in a place, and you see all of these other human beings. And someone tells you that these human beings, and maybe even you, would be exterminated. I mean, I'm thinking about this thing. Here you just walking your children, taking them to school, or you may be taking them to a social event or something, or whatever. And these men, armed men, come and take you, put you in a vehicle, load you up on a train with hundreds of other people, and you like pigs and cattle. And they take you to what they call the concentration camp. Just to imagine the whole dynamics, the dynamics of being kidnapped, and then going through the stress of being clogged up in a car, clogged up in a train. The things they put you in a train and you with hundreds of stinking other people and you can't urinate or defecate and you do what you do. Hey, what? Oh my God! This is terrible. The more you read about Hitler, you wonder, wow, Hitler, these people who were in these concentration camps, these guards, would actually, oh, this is terrible, would actually make these prisoners eat the waste out of toilets. I mean, what are you thinking about? What are these people? What you are doing this? What? Think of this reality for 3, 4 years. For how long before Hitler was overthrown? But okay, between 1939 and 1944, well 9 from 14, 5 years, 19, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And if you are considered a Jew, a non, what do you call them, Aryans, if you were not a pure German, you were less than everyone else. And for at least 5 years, these Nazi people would go get human beings and drag them into these trains, throw them in the trains, and then take them to these camps, work them to death, treat them as though they were cattle. I mean, just to imagine it. And then the idea of imagining these things to happen. Thinking about the reality of it. The reality of human suffering. So, outside of being interested, of being the things that draw my attention, outside of being interested in E equal MC squared, I personally want to get into the minds of men. What make men do the things that they do? Being that we all are humanity. So, true, this was my way of thinking. I still could maintain that though Albert Einstein was a good man, I really believe that he was a good man, a good human being. I really think that which I have heard and studied about Mr. Albert Einstein, he was indeed a good man. But he discovered this formula. It's really interesting how I is. He discovered a formula that led to where we are today. Where are we today? Today, we live in a world where it's like walking on a tightrope. And those of us who are truly into contemplation, we ask ourselves, who or what nation will cause this great catastrophe? I know in the West, I know in the America, there are many underground, there has been a lot of development in underground things. So I think some of us are in preparation for the big blast. But the majority of us, right here in Kenya, I mean, and even what they're doing now, it's like, it's just bad. What they're doing now, they're just killing children and everybody. That's bad too. And this is the point. This is where we are at here. This is where we are at now. It's bad. It's just the beginning. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Because we, mankind, we are so stubborn. I just want to talk a little bit about history. And then I want to talk about politics. In my favorite subject, I want to talk about God. Let's look at the Israel state. Okay. The Jews are those people who claim to be Jews in Israel. They are going to destroy Israel. Israel is committing suicide at this very moment. At this very moment, the country, as they claim they are, the country of Israel is at this very moment committing suicide. Let's talk about this suicidal predicament that Israel is in right now. The Jews were mistreated before World War II. They were treated badly. You know, if you read the documentaries, you read history, you go to YouTube, those Jews in Europe, they were treated badly. But there were black people. There were black people in Germany. Hitler did the same thing to those black people in Germany that he did to the Jews. But he had focus on the Jews, and they got all of these bad things that happened to them. But the bad things also happened to people of color in Germany when Hitler was the Nazi ruler there. Yes, the Jews, they went through hell. Hitler put the Jews through hell, but there were black people. There were black people who were treated the same way as the Jews. They were put in the concentration camps just like the Jews. But Hitler focused on the Jews. And he did a lot of damage. So then we had World War II. And then since the Jews, after Hitler had killed all these people, and when the Allies, when the US and Russia and all the Allies who defeated Germany, when they went in and saw what Hitler had done to human beings, I mean, the world could not believe it. So that was simply in the hearts of men. So they said, look what Hitler did to the Jews. We must do something to heal the pains that these Jewish people went through. But it was a selfish thing to do. Okay, look at all the earth. Look at all the land on earth. Those rulers of the globe, those rulers of the world said, let's put the Jews in Palestine. There were people living in Palestine. Black people like myself. There were people living in Palestine, going through their lives. I mean, just living their lives. But whoever who runs the world, they said, let's take these poor Jewish people and put them in Palestine. But what about the people who were there? There were people, I mean, they had their own civilization. They had their own civilization. But those rulers of the world, they said, let's put the Jews in Palestine. And what did the Jews do? The Jews went to Palestine. They would, especially about my project, my corporation. I have to give a pitch. I have to give a pitch in January to investors to see who would be interested in investing into MUSAU